I am actually so sick and tired of all these boomers making videos and writing articles about how bad Gen Z is. Oh, Gen Z is doomed. Look at this video. Gen Z is literally brain dead. Brain dead. As a member of Gen Z, I'm here to defend us because this is getting ridiculous. And let's be honest, most of the people making these videos and writing these articles are millennials, and there's a laundry list of issues with millennials. And to anyone who's in Gen X complaining about Gen Z, you're the ones who raised us, so how we came out is your own fault. Gen Z has garnered the reputation for being nihilistic, soft, self-centered, constantly needing validation, and having a low attention span. And to a certain extent, those are valid concerns, but you have to also understand why we are the way we are. Let's start with the nihilism and lack of respect for authority first. Now, I'll admit some people in Gen Z take it way too far when it comes to their disrespect to authority and the government in general. But you have to also understand what happened in our youth. During my formative teenage years, literally every single establishment known to man was exposed as being run by debaucherous and depraved individuals. From the government, to movies, to music, to sports, literally every single establishment was being ran by people that I can only describe as depraved and horrible. So yeah, there's a lot less faith that the people in power have our best interests at heart. Now let me also say that as an American who was born and raised here, I still love my country and love the principles that it stands on. But it's becoming increasingly hard for me to excuse and respect the actions the government has taken in the past. Another reason Gen Z has become so nihilistic is because economic freedom and mobility has become increasingly harder to obtain. Unfortunately, to a lot of people in my generation, obtaining wealth is no longer something that's seen as an aspiration. I am not one of those people, but I still understand where they're coming from. If you're in Gen Z and you think you're gonna graduate college, get a 9-to-5, and then buy a house within a couple years and start a family, you're mistaken, bro. And that's another reason why I find it comical that these older generations hound us for not wanting to work a regular job and constantly seeking other streams of income. So if Gen Z isn't eager to work a 9-to-5, you can't really blame them, because not only in most cases are they working in a soulless corporate machine, but they won't even gain monetary stability from that. So unless you want to get completely shafted by the system, you got to think outside the box on how to accumulate wealth. Now, another big thing that older generations come down on Gen Z for is being too soft. And to an extent, I will agree with this. But it's not like we were the first generation when this started. Millennials were essentially the start of the participation trophy generation. In fact, I would argue that millennials on average are more soft than Gen Z is. Because as someone in Gen Z, I observed millennials coming into adulthood about 10 years ago, and they handled it so poorly. Millennials are so concerned with being on the right side of history and being morally right that it completely clouds their judgment. I mean, it was your generation that started canceling people for the most minor issues. Gen Z, in my opinion, found a good balance between progress and also not being stuck up. Another big thing that Gen Z gets a lot of flack for that I will agree with is that they are very self-centered in general. A lot of people on social media platforms think they're the main character or center of the universe and constantly trying to find ways to distinguish themselves from others and be their special little snowflake in this world. And while yeah, a lot of times it is very, very annoying, especially when people try to self-diagnose themselves, it is also understandable at a human level to want to feel some sort of personal identity. I mean, a lot of people that constantly post on their Instagram stories about whatever they're doing are very annoying, I will admit that. But I mean, in most cases, it isn't like a huge issue. And then another huge event that happened during our childhood was the where the entire world was completely shut down and our entire future was uncertain. Like, yeah, obviously there's gonna be social ramifications for that. If I'm literally stuck inside 24 hours a day as a 16-year-old, where the only time I can talk to my friends is on Discord, and I'm going to school on Zoom, it's supposedly dangerous to come outside and talk to people. What, you expect me to come out of that completely fine? And with the mismanagement of that entire situation, it led more people in Gen Z to lose faith with that entire institution. And let me tell you, not everyone in Gen Z is soft, uneducated, overly nihilistic, chronically online. I feel like the only people that actually believe those stereotypes are people that are chronically online, don't socialize, and are overly nihilistic. Because the moment you go outside and actually talk to people, you'll find wonderful people from every single generation. Just like most millennials and people in Gen X are decent, hardworking people, so are most people in Gen Z. If you live on social media, then yeah, I can see why you think Gen Z is doomed. But if you live on social social media, I can see how you'd think every generation is doomed. Listen, content addiction exists among all generations, okay? I know, and I know that you know, 70-year-olds that spend all their time either watching news or scrolling through Facebook. Every generation is full of people that are addicted to social media. It's not just us. I'm just so sick and tired of people feeding into negative stereotypes to make themselves feel better. And I'll admit, I fell into this trap as well. I mean, I used to look at Gen Alpha and was like, look at these kids watching Family Guy clips with Subway Surfer at the bottom. Their only humor is complete brain rot and nothing can keep their attention for more than 2 seconds. They're uneducated and are completely unprepared for life. But then I looked at it and was like, no, those are all false stereotypes. Most of the kids that I've interacted with in Gen Alpha are competent, smart, social individuals. Like, yeah, as a whole, they have shorter attention spans than older generations. But you have to also consider they spent a large percentage of their youth in the Imagine being a kindergartner who's being taught on a Zoom class and barely interacts with other kindergartners. That's the time when you're supposed to learn to socialize and communicate with other people, but they didn't. So obviously you should be giving them some grace that they take a little longer to socially adjust. During that time period, they were raised in large part by social media and online entertainment. How the heck is that their fault or responsibility that happened? Again, that's the older generation instilling that into those children. And again, I don't think most of the kids in Gen Alpha are that bad. It's just fun and entertaining to make fun of the next generation to make yourself feel better. And let's be honest, a lot of the people making fun of the next generation are just butthurt that they're not in their prime anymore. I've never really seen a millennial or someone who is in Gen X that had their life put together and was really just succeeding in life constantly try to bring down the next generation. The people who are really successful usually try to uplift the next generation to follow the same path. Now, I will be honest, there are many problems with Gen Z as a whole, but you can say the exact same thing about literally every single generation. Stop trying to perpetuate these false stereotypes and put down the next generation. It literally helps nobody. That is why I think Gen Z is a great generation and I'm proud to be part of it. And I also think that Gen Alpha will also crush it and do very well. I also don't want to come off as if I'm hating the older generations. The vast majority of people I meet that are older than me are great people. I'm just tired of the back in my day mentality that many people want to share. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, okay? Seriously, I want to know your honest opinion. And like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe. I got so many more videos on the way. All right, I'll see you. Peace.